One pilot's actions brought national attention to Denver. What led him to take out an axe and whack at a gate at an airport parking lot?
Well, that question went unanswered for months, until now.
We just want to talk to you about, get your side of the story. I'm certainly happy to talk.
Denver 7 Investigates has spent months digging for the reasons behind that outburst. Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
I'm Ann Trujillo, and tonight, Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kovaleski shares a new level of context to the pilot's axe attack.
You've probably already seen this video. A Denver-based pilot, an axe, and an apparent act of rage. Video captured on a surveillance camera that made headlines in Colorado.
A United Airlines pilot taking an axe to a parking lot gate.
And headlines around the country.
Turn now to the pilot unhinged, the alarming incident at the Denver airport.
Pilot said he reached his breaking point.
Our investigation may now help you better understand what may have contributed to a veteran pilot reaching his breaking point.
I'm certainly happy to talk.
You are watching law enforcement body camera video exclusively obtained by Denver 7 Investigates. Later, you will hear the pilot explain what led to his axe-wielding rage. But first, our investigation has learned the pilot was not alone in sharing his frustrations with the airport's newly located employee parking lot. Do you understand why that pilot was so frustrated?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And I think everybody that works here and parks here does.
Back in March, the airport relocated the employee lot and put in place a new scanning system for cars to enter and exit. What was it like when it first started?
It was just lines and lines of cars.
Complications and complaints followed the changes. Through an open records request, Denver 7 Investigates obtained nearly 36 complaints filed with the airport. When you see that number of complaints, what's it say to you?
It's accurate. Yeah, I'm not shocked.
Outside the employee parking lot, we had no trouble finding several employees critical of the airport's handling of that transition.
They need to try to make sure that everybody can get to work on time and not have to leave earlier. I used to leave 45 minutes. I leave an hour and a half now.
The written complaints did mirror the pilot's apparent frustrations. One wrote, maybe the Denver airport should fix the effing problem and quit treating the airport employees like garbage. Quit pushing everyone to their axe-wielding breaking point. Another reads, how can we as employees at DIA continue to be made late by the incredibly inconsistent parking situation? Watch now and see what our cameras captured weeks after the day the pilot let his axe do his talking. Car after car trying to get out, the gate's arm not opening, drivers backing up, changing lanes, pushing the call button for help. We found more than a dozen examples of employees delayed in leaving the parking lot. Amplified frustrations that may have led to this piece of editorial graffiti on a parking lot call box. Frustrations that include unreliable shuttle buses. One complaint reads, I have to arrive to the parking lot each morning over an hour before my shift at the airport because I simply cannot rely on the bus schedule. And that brings us back to the law enforcement body camera video.
So, what happened?
And potentially illuminating comments from an airport parking lot service agent.
I work for landside parking. We monitor these lots. We've been on special duty letting these out.
Clearly, parking lot customers aren't the only ones boiling over with frustration.
So for 4 days, we've been standing out here letting these out. And pilots have been the worst.
Now remember those comments from a so-called service agent. Later, you will hear his boss's response. But now back to the pilot, and for the first time, we hear his story.
What happened today, sir?
Everyone has a limit, and it is reached at different levels. I just happened to hit mine this afternoon. It just happened to be the parking lot, and the exit wasn't working.
A candid, unfiltered description.
What wasn't getting resolved for you?
There was a great long lineup of vehicles in all three lanes that were stopped there because the sensors and the barriers for the exit wasn't working.
And perhaps the most telling moment, listen now, as the pilot displays empathy for his fellow employees.
He just kind of hit that limit and just got kind of upset.
This enabled people, including myself, but everyone, to get onto the line.
Everybody looked at that pilot and said, what the heck happened? We now know he wasn't alone with his frustrations, correct?
Yep. And we knew that before the pilot did what he did.
A significant admission from the airport's VP of parking, the airport confirming it knew there were problems at the employee parking lot weeks before the incident with the pilot. Does the airport assume any responsibility for the frustration that pilot showed that day?
I think there are frustrations of going from an old system to a new system. So I think the frustration is shared amongst all of us.
So if I hear you correctly, you're taking some responsibility.
I think there's responsibility on everybody's part. I'll take responsibility.
And as promised, we asked the airport VP to react to that body camera video of his employees' reaction to the problems.
For 4 days we've been standing out here letting these assholes out, and pilots have been the worst.
He says we've been on special duty to let these assholes out.
Yep.
Does that point to a problem?
Yep, it's very concerning. I personally talked to that employee about how he treats the employees in that lot and how he is to conduct himself as a city employee representing our department.
So a lesson to be learned on what happened here?
Yep, and he's been addressed.
So we now know what first appeared as a single pilot using an axe to amplify his anger turns out to be an unfortunate and emblematic example of widespread frustrations and failures with the airport's employee parking lot. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you've heard these concerns.
I have.
And you're fixing it.
Fixing it. That's my commitment. And if I hear more concerns, it's my commitment. We'll address those issues and fix those.
And the airport has kept that promise. In recent weeks, and after becoming aware of our investigation, the airport has made significant changes to the employee parking lot, including a reworked bus schedule and additional attention to the exit gates. Employees tell us things are running much smoother. Finally, an update on the pilot. His attorney declined our request for an interview, but we've learned the misdemeanor charges the pilot faced will be dropped if he completes a 12-month diversion program. His employer, United Airlines, told us he remains off the schedule until the airline concludes its internal investigation. I'm Chief Investigative Reporter Tony Kowaleski.